God, what the hell is that?
I'm the sheriff. I'm the sheriff.
You're the police, where are your badges?
I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
That's because I'm a stunt. I'm a genuine sports personality. A legendary folk hero.
Jesus Christ.
There he is. Very baddest cat in the joint. Even the guards are terrified of him.
The warrior of the wasteland.
You can call me when I have to call my lawyer. They bring me a telephone. Would you like to leave me your home phone number?
I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to hear no more of this.
Wait a minute, I'm just getting to the weird part.
The weird part.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Say we take off, loop the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Let's do it.
Can you do that?
I can do anything. I'm the chief of police.
Hey, Saturday night at the movies, everybody. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Thanks to everybody for showing up tonight. Thank Darth, Cole, Spidey, Graham. Glad to have everybody along. We've done a couple of these with particular movies, and we've done Hollywood Tough Guys. And then the last time we were doing the Hollywood Tough Guys show, everybody was kind of like, hey, you know who the real tough guys of this industry are? Let's talk about the stuntmen for a little bit. And that is what we're here to do. Let's do first some introductions. Darth Jaeger from Chilled Monkey Brains. How are you, sir?
Feeling great. Thanks for having me on the show, sir.
Wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it. We started this with Blade Runner, and it's just kind of gone completely off the rails from there on out.
Absolutely.
Colhauser,
Good
the
way.
Canadian Colossus. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Traveling, man. You've been doing the road, man. You gonna stay in one place for a week or so?
Yeah, pretty much.
Until something comes along. Spidey, how you doing, sir? Good to see you.
Fantastic. Thanks for bringing me back on for this panel. Love talking about all this, and we're going to gush in a few.
Hell yeah. Graham Robbins, the Lorax. What's going on, sir?
Ahoy, hoy, meatbags. Just congrats to your abs there, Giles.
I don't think we need to start the show off by pissing off the host, but that's okay. We can do it however you want. It's going to be a Vegas, fucking Montreal final. I can feel it.
No.
In which case, we'll both be wrong. But no, we'll see. We'll see how she goes tonight with the.
Yeah,
with
tonight
the
we'll tell.
chains.
Yeah,
All right.
it's not time to start shitting our britches till tomorrow morning.
You're right.
You want to know something?
Uh-oh, here it comes.
Carolina had too long of a layoff.
I think so.
Carolina did have, longest layoff in NHL playoff history.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not to mention their record in playoffs is terrible for Eastern Conference Finals. They are 1-0. They are 0-1. It's ridiculous how they're well behind the power curve. I would have thought Rod Brindamore would have got them better than that, but you never know.
They just had too much time off, and that affects you because you need to keep going. Remember when the LA Kings won their first cup? They went 19. They just squeaked into the playoffs. They went 19-1, and they just because they were playing all the time. And you know when you take like a week or so off, that will affect you.
Oh yeah, and then you get a couple of those back to back because Carolina was doing sweep, and then all of a sudden it's like there's way too much time off.
Yeah,
way too much.
Come on, Cale McCarr, get back on the ice.
Oh,
all right.
fuck off.
All right, enough hockey talk. We'll get back to that later. Let's talk about the other brand of tough guys we're here to talk about. Hollywood Stuntmen. I want to share with everybody, if you're not aware of how stunts came to happen in Hollywood, we'll talk a little bit about the history of it. And it's pretty simple. Hollywood kind of started out movies, mostly Westerns. You know, the talkies didn't come along for a while. So you had silent movies, and silent movies were great for one thing, and that was stunt work. one of the greats that we're not going to dig too far into detail on, but I have to give a little credit to, is Buster Keaton. Now, Buster was a vaudevillian, and most of the vaudevillians made that jump. You had two things, cowboys and vaudevillians. And vaudevillians were good for slapstick, and Buster was the king. That guy, not only could he perform all of these miraculous stunts, little bit of camera work, not too much, just a touch, but could also sell it and gaffed a lot of his own stuff. He could put up some really good bits that would look, when you put them on camera, would look amazing. They weren't incredibly difficult to pull off physically. That the one where the house falls down on top of him and he's got the window cut out and he just happens to be in the right spot and it falls around him. That was just excellent gaffing right there, setting the things up.
Steamboat Bill Jr.
Exactly. And then you got some boys that had to sell something a little bit different. Now, vaudevillian kings, Three Stooges, they pulled off a lot of simple stuff. The slaps, the punches, the rap on the head with the wrenches, that kind of thing. And they were the ones that got to sell it. Walking into something. The problem was working around things. The physicality of, that's all green screen, but
yeah. This is how high is up.
Exactly. And those boys had to pull off, the slaps and punches. You could do that on a stage, that eye poke. They were famous for the eye poke. And you could do it on stage, no problem, because you're, 40, 50 feet away from somebody. They don't see you're actually hitting somebody in the eyebrows instead of the eyeballs. But when you got to go to a screen, that's a whole different story. So they had to perfect that kind of thing. It was the little stuff. And then you had, before I don't want to do that, I don't want to play it just yet. You've got the perfect example. Now I'm going way ahead in the future, but I want to use this just as an example of how a stunt person can sell a scene. Stunt people don't really get a lot of credit for their acting abilities. This is the late, great Susan Backlinie. I always mispronounce her name because it's spelled 4 different ways in media. She is, of course, the young lady in Jaws. She's the first one, gets eaten by the shark. Now, there's no shark, of course. She is attached to cables that are attached to a harness around her waist. And there are 2 stuntmen on the beach that are yanking her back and forth violently with these ropes to kind of swing her around in the water. But the job she does, she is being eaten by a shark. Whoop, let me put it back up there. There we go. And they got a drag trail there, and now we got the back and forth. You got a couple of guys on either side of those lines that are yanking her around. And then all the way to the buoy. So it's not just that you fall off of stuff, or not just that you gaff a punch. It's you got to sell it. And early on, that was easy to do because of the camera angles all the way back. But you start going 30s, 40s, 50s, things change a little bit. 40s and 50s is you come up with the rigging is when they start doing that. They start using, there's a fellow by the name of Tom Steele who sort of refined and taught everybody how to use pads so that when they're doing falls, they weren't breaking bones. They weren't winding up with bruised kidneys and all that kind of stuff. And they started using riggings, which is, the cables that they attach to different things. Now, I'm going to hit a little bit later on a fellow by the name of Yakima Knut, and he came up with a particular gaff called the Run and W. And what they used to do is attach those cables to the fetlocks of horses, and they'd stop them dead in their tracks, and they go face first. Well, that would damage the horses really bad, and it killed a couple of them. So they're like, okay, can't do that stuff anymore. But what they did learn was we can put this on people. So Ben-Hur, as a perfect example, that chariot scene, everybody's wearing cables when they do their spills, and some of the horses are even using refined cables to keep them from breaking legs and tumbling into one another and getting all busted up. Then you get into the 60s and 70s. Now you're talking about, you start getting into professional gaffers. This is the lead member of a stunt team, the stunt coordinator. This is when you start designing your stunts on a grand scale. You've got airbags now that have come along, so you can do some falls. You can actually put the airbags in the car, is when they start doing this. So you start getting a lot more 60s and 70s, a lot of more falls, a lot more car jumps. And you've got guys like Dar Robinson setting, world record fall distances, like 232 feet, jumping into an airbag. Now, just because there's an airbag doesn't exactly mean it's soft. 200 feet, that baby still feels like you're hitting concrete. You just don't die from doing it. This is also the time when you start getting a lot better fight choreography. Now, I'm going to show 2 clips here real quick, just as a goof. I don't want to do share screen. I want to do a video file. I want to show you one of the worst blocked fight scenes in Hollywood history. This is from the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Bogey and Tim Holt have tracked down Pat McCormick in the bar where they got stiffed on their pay.
We want what's coming to us, and we want it right here and now.
But didn't I just get through telling you that?
Better come across, Pat.
Well, boys, I tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 25%. I guess I can make it 30%. And the balance, say, the middle of next week, huh?
Nothing doing, right here and now. Every cent you owe us, or you won't walk out of here. You'll have to be carried out.
Oh, now, let's don't stop being friends. How about another drink? 2 more brandies for the gentleman, and put the bottle on the bar.
2 things. Number 1, this is a great bottle shot. And number 2, watch as they're doing it. Not only is it poorly blocked and they miss by a mile, but these guys look absolutely nothing like any of the actors who are portraying any of these 3 characters.
Got any ideas about getting us liquored up? Oh, no. I'm just inviting you to have a friendly drink with me. Get through telling you that.
Better come across, Pat.
Sorry about that.
Well, boy.
Every cent you owe us, or you won't walk out of here. You'll have to be carried out.
Oh, now, let's don't stop.
There we go. Bad knee. Wide punches. Falls are good. Back kick. Bogey? Not bogey. Not Tim Holt. Horrible punches. They only had 2 camera angles available on the bar.
The wide exaggerated punches.
Just terrible. Swing and a miss. Didn't even have hair grabs down to a fine science at that point. So clearly we haven't learned camera angles yet, but you get to the 60s and 70s, you get a whole different situation with martial artists coming into their own.
Can I just throw one out there too?
Yes, sir.
You're doing going to 60s.
Yeah.
TOS, William Shatner.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some of those, when they're doing the fight scenes,
terrible.
They cut to the wide shots.
Yeah. My favorite is that
with dark hair,
that double fisted axe handle thing he does with both his arms, like hitting somebody on the shoulder. I'm like, what the hell are you doing right there, man?
That way almost became an in-universe joke because they continued that through to TNG, DS9. I mean, they used that stupid move throughout all of Star Trek.
And
but they also made fun of. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Made fun of it on Family Guy.
100%.
What was the nerd's name? But he was just like, you can, because they're watching an episode of TOS, and then he's like, "There's Kirk, there's a stunt double. There's Kirk,
there's a stunt double."
it was just so funny because clearly you can see the stunt double in the show.
And here's the fellas that taught them, specifically the fella that taught them how to do it right. Dust coming off the back of that guy. We'll back that up just a hair. that little dust, they're actually making contact. This is when you start getting real fight pros into the stunt business in the 60s and 70s that can not only show you how to block them and make them fast enough that you sell them, but they can actually make impact with people and not hurt stuntmen. On all those punches, the angles you're looking at them, they are going, you cannot see the distance between the fist and the face. So they clearly learned a great deal.
Hey, Giles, what was the movie with Bruce Lee and James Gardner?
James Garner and Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
You got me. I'm going to Google cheat real quick.
Yeah, I'm ringing a bell to me.
Let's see if we can find her. Marlowe.
Yes.
Marlowe. I cannot believe. 1969. Marlowe.
Yeah. Because they have Bruce Lee doing some of his things in that movie as well.
Man, I tell you, Hollywood was fascinated by that. When they learned that they could actually block good fight scenes and sell them, that's when things really took off for stunt guys for doing. That's when you get Chuck Norris coming in and doing his thing. You know, all the guys are like, okay, Steven Seagal would not exist for those two people, and that idiot just blows it for everybody by hurting stuntmen left and right. That's why I got a real hard on for that dude.
Well, you know what Chuck Norris said about him anyway, so
yeah, every chance he got. Yeah, I'm fully aware. Then you get, we'll finish up the history and we'll bust into individual stunt guys, but 60s and 70s, that's when you start getting the falls, airbags, good car stunts. Martial arts helps them perfect the fight scenes. This is also when women come into their own, and Darth's going to hit on Zoe in a little bit, but you start having ladies, that's when you have actresses like Susan Backline that can come in and actually do these roles and be, professional. And this is when they start getting credits for the first time in movies is in the 70s. Now, prior to that, stuntmen weren't really a thing. They didn't really kind of garner any sort of, professional respect, which I think is just total bullshit. Now, they did from their stars, don't get me wrong. The people that didn't have to take the bumps and the bruises absolutely loved them. But Hollywood as an industry didn't really recognize them in the credits until the 70s. Then you go to the 80s and 90s. Now, this is where things get good. Not only are your calculations better, you start using trigonometry on how you're going to do these jumps. You get into better machined gear. You have better harnesses. You have better gaffing for your overall stunts. This is where you get your real big time, we're able to do things. CGI is just barely, it's just on the horizon, but it hasn't quite hit yet. So we're in the sweet spot right now in between the most technologically advanced stunt version of the industry for the practical effects. And they go, okay, now if we just back that up about 2 frames, we can put a little CGI in here and make it look even better. So that's kind of where practical stunt effects end for a while. And we'll get to the very tail end of this. Everybody's thinking Tom Cruise. Don't read ahead. We'll get there. But there are people, Tom is the progenitor of that in modern day, who have decided we're going back to practical effects because you just cannot beat it.
Yeah, and I just want to mention quickly, like you can tell the difference between CGI and the practical effects, and
instantly.
And then the fact that if Hollywood wants to keep going on this route of pushing this, because you look what we got in the 70s, somewhat in the 60s. So you look at a movie like Apocalypse Now with the practical effects you got in that movie, and then that just kept going and going. But I just think CGI is just and you can give Michael Bay some credit because he likes using practical effects, especially explosions in his movies, regardless of he's using CGI in like Transformers or whatever. But he you have to come to the point where CGI just doesn't work and it doesn't look good, and it will never have that same style and effect that you go, oh wow, boom, look at that. Like you'll always go back to that.
You know, I'll go you one better. I would say that CGI is so noticeable and people are so hip to it that it has ruined itself as a viable option for practical effects. People don't buy it anymore. They can tell the difference and they don't buy it. Just as a weird sideline to that point, if anybody's seen Faulty Towers, Andrew Sachs played Manuel the waiter, and John Cleese used to whoop on him on a regular basis. And he actually hit him. I mean, just good raps in the melon and all kinds of things. It was very, very funny. And people used to get on him all the time and say, well, you know, why are you beating up this poor actor? You're supposed to be doing, you know, this, that. And Cleese said, when people realize it's not real, it's no longer funny.
Mm-hmm.
And CGI is kind of in that vein now. People realize it's CGI and not real, and they don't, and they're like, this is bullshit. I ain't buying it.
Well, to your point earlier, I think, when you were talking about how things started to change in the 70s and 80s, I mean, this was an era where they started actually bringing on stunt coordinators who had their own teams that they would work with on these films, right?
Exactly.
And they would go through this stuff and train, and all these guys, suddenly you had a bunch of people, a team that knew what they were doing, right?
Like your Hal Needham and your buddy Joe Hooker fellas, they'd been doing their own, you know, stunts back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s come along, and they're like, we got this incredible stunt we want to pull off, but we're not really sure how to do it. You go out and hire yourself Hal Needham, or you hire yourself buddy Joe Hooker. To Live and Die in LA, perfect example. You know, both of those guys. Dar Robinson is on board for that. He's one of the you know, he gets a couple of side roles, but all of these guys, they're a whole team. And buddy Joe Hooker is the lead drive gaffer for you know, that him and Hal Needham both do that reverse on-ramp scene. You know, Will Peterson's doing some of the driving, buddy Joe Hooker's behind the wheel the rest of the time, but Hal Needham's the guy that's running the whole thing, and he's the one looking at it going, it's going to run like this, 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 and this. And that's where you get your real huge scale, you know, professional gaffes.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned CGI, when people know it's not real and it's not believable, I think another component of that is they have more access to tools than they ever have. Yet why does everybody look at things like Jurassic Park, or to a certain extent like Independence Day? I know some of it's hokey, but older films that are 20, 30, 40 years old, why is the CGI better in Close Encounters than it is in, you know, the latest Disney slop?
I have a theory on that.
Well, before we get to that, I think the other thing, practical effects. I think, speaking of Disney, filming in the volume where you've got this panoramic sort of green screen, for lack of a better term, but the actors are still real. So what's right in front of the camera, you're going to have a hard time. Yeah, you might use CGI for the background, but I think paradoxically, I think it might filming in the volume might actually have to lend itself to more practical stuntmen, because you got to worry about everything in the background. Okay, now you also have to worry about everything in the foreground. I think I don't know if it's a load thing or if it just isn't believable, but I think that's one of the reasons that also they're maybe going back to the practical stuff, is because it's front and center of the camera in that volume setting, which I fucking hate, but if it leads to practical effects, so be it. So
yeah. Anybody else want to take a crack at that?
Everything look flat, doesn't it? I mean, it's sort of, it washes things out. Everything looks flat, and you're sort of okay. And it can only really shoot sort of close to medium shots with it. If you notice,
sure. Yep.
You can't do these wide shots because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't. Has anyone here seen the movie Black Dynamite?
A while ago.
Which one?
With
the original
Michael Jai White.
Oh, the new one.
Yes,
I haven't seen the new one.
So there was a scene in there, and it was pretty funny because they kind of make fun of practical, like they make fun of stuntmen in certain scenes. So there's one scene where they're about to, you know, because he's a kung fu guy. He went to go slap the actor, and he actually hit the one actor, and then the actor is like, "What the F?" And then you see them cut the screen, and they actually put the stuntman in, and then he slaps him again. So it was just pretty funny how they did that. And then there was a car chase scene where you actually see them. He's driving around a Porsche, like an older Porsche, like a 70s, But when they switch to the car chase, it's actually another car, and then they're doing the whole thing where they're watching the screen. But it was just funny how they were trying to incorporate a practical effect and a stunt double. It was pretty funny.
Spidey, you got any? Why does CGI not work?
Why it doesn't work? I mean, I can go a million ways with it. We can go into DEI, the lack of proper training and shit like that. But I think we're seeing a renaissance now, like you said before, of the practical effects coming back, because we're seeing a lot more lower budget independent starting to make a good comeback, which is, I support that a lot. And with that, your costs are only at a certain amount. And for action sequences, we have more accessibility to daredevils and people with online and social media presence, which gives them another out to bring them on to set to perform stuff. And that supports their independence as well. So I think that's why we're having a renaissance of that. And people are like, enough is enough with the CGI bullshit. I think we're just tired out of it.
I think here's why CGI works. Somebody mentioned Close Encounters. Why does it work so good in Jurassic Park? Why does it work so well in Close Encounters? This is just my observation of people. People will believe a CGI version of a spaceship because they don't know what a spaceship looks like. A dinosaur, they'll believe dinosaurs, CGI dinosaurs, because they don't know what they look like. But your mind, when you see somebody do a CGI fall or a CGI, fight scene, and your mind just understands, because you understand physics and you understand how people are, you go, that's bullshit. There's no way you tank that hit, or there's no way you take that fall. So if you're going to use the CGI, if you're going to use it for something completely unbelievable and keep the human aspect out of it, you can make that work. But the Avengers, there's so many times where you see something where you go, all right, that's complete bullshit, because you try and mesh the two of them too closely. That's when people start calling bullshit on it.
Yeah. Well, how does Ronnie Cox's fall in RoboCop look better than some of the Avengers shit?
Good, excellent, because the way it was set up, people understand the physics of it, and they go, yeah, that works. But then you look at the Avengers stuff and you go, that don't work.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Like if you go back to say 2001, a Space Odyssey, and you look at the effects there, then you go into like Star Trek, the motion picture, you see, and then you come all the way to say Endgame or Infinity War. The effects back in 2001 looks a lot better and cleaner than what you would get today.
Do you think they went too big?
Oh, definitely. Because when they had the chance to start saying, "Oh, we're just going to start using full computers now, full technology," that's where everything went. Put a good example. Look at the Imperial Walkers in Empire Strikes Back, and then look at them in Rogue One. Night and day difference.
Good point.
Night and day difference.
Those models, right? Those models had weight to them. They were big when and the way they shot them, they had that weight. They had the gravitas. So like the Enterprise model from the motion picture, that thing 100%. Is 6 feet long, and it's shot in a way that makes it look like a starship, like it should. I believe this when I see that on screen.
The Walkers also had that. They had Phil Tippett doing all that on the Walkers in Star Wars too, and he studied under Ray Harryhausen. So
the master.
It's all part of that big brain drain, isn't it? There aren't the same people working in Hollywood anymore than there was.
And the Imperial Walkers in Empire look so real and so believable, where it's just like I remember as a kid, having a bit of a nightmare, like, what are these things? Where you look at them now, it's just like, they were complaining on FNT, like, how are these walkers walking up a mountain? They don't even look real to be doing this stuff. So you just look at what we had to what we have now. They're just going full on digital technology rather than the practical special effects. And Darth said it, with the Enterprise, they use a massive model for that. You
There's
know,
just something. There's just something about practical effects, even if you mix it with a little bit of CGI just to take the edges off, makes it work. Just your brain. There's something about the human brain that just calls bullshit past a certain point. You go, all right, I'm okay up to here, but then when it's all made up, I don't understand exactly how that works, but I do think there's a very kind of like a bad guy. You know, there's a very thin line between a really great bad guy and completely over the top kind of bad guy that just ruins it.
It's an uncanny valley. I mean, we do this. Whether I know people apply uncanny valley to androids or robots, but it exists in everything. There is that uncanny where it's so believable, and then it just falls off a cliff, and we don't believe it at all.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like in Knight Rider, I actually believe Kit jumping across through the air over a helicopter. It looks believable when you watch it. You know,
the T2 helicopter chase where they got him underneath the bridge, all the stuff in Blue Thunder, those stunts, not overly spectacular, tough to be sure, but not anything weird and spectacular. And everybody bought it. Hell yeah, it's dangerous. You could run into that thing, kill everybody on board.
Can you see the semi's front axle snap in two when the T1000 jumps into the canal? Yes, and it keeps going. And you know what? No one cares.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, and I'll just give you one up on that, Graham. Gone in 60 Seconds. When that thing jumped, that thing should have broken into like 5 pieces and done.
Yep. But it's believable.
Yep, that part you get. All right, let's get
also one thing about CGI. How do you have modern CGI and people fuck up CGIing out a mustache on an actor?
I knew we were going to get to Tony Williams or Henry Cavill.
One more in there. Man of Steel, his cape was CGI. Why couldn't you just wear a real cape?
I hate that.
How long have wind machines been around? Since 1920? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
All right. We've done enough of the fake stuff. We'll come back to that later. I tell you what, Darth, let's get back to the real people that make this happen. Tell us who you brought along. Let's talk about some of the real people that make the practical effects work.
Well, I thought I'd take some time and talk about Zoe Bell from New Zealand. She's got her job. She's been working since 1992.
I said Zoe Quinn earlier. I'm sorry. I meant Zoe Bell.
I'm sorry. Zoe Quinn.
I'm sorry. I got it.
Responsible for the death of at least 2 men.
Yeah. Sorry. My bad.
But I mean, this was one of her first jobs. She was working on a TV show before this in New Zealand, but then she got this position where she was stunt doubling for Lucy Lawless for all those episodes of Xena and for a few episodes of Hercules and all those kinds of shows back then. I mean, she's had a lot of work over the years, over the last 34 years. She's basically doing stunt coordination now and the occasional acting. People probably recognize her from those Quentin Tarantino movies, like The Hateful Eight, and yeah, she was with Uma Thurman here, doubling for her, for doing her stunts in Kill Bill. And I think it's just really interesting. There's not a lot of women doing stunt work, right? There's very few compared to the men, because there's not a lot of women doing action movies, I guess, unless you're Jennifer Lawrence, I guess, and you're the first woman to ever do any action ever.
God bless her soul for being the first.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jennifer Lawrence, for taking the hit for everybody that came before you.
For all of us, thank you very much. I mean, so we basically played herself in Death Proof, and I mean, say what you will, I think she was pretty good at that. But the list of credits for her, even for being for coordinating, for doing the stunt work, it's as long as your arm, as long as anybody else out there. And
would it be fair to say she's the female version of Buddy Joe Hooker?
I think you might be able to push that if you wanted to convince somebody. You might be able to make that argument.
I think you could. I mean, because she kind of paved the way for like the Jesse Graffs and all those people. I would,
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. I mean, and yeah, being in the, like I said, being in the industry as long as you have, more than 30 years, she's taken her lumps, and I think come out of it alive at least, which is good because a lot of people didn't make it out of this business alive, and I'll get to that later. I got a whole list of people we can do an in memoriam, as it were.
There you go. Yeah, we'll get to that part. We got a couple of good ones. Oh, who? I didn't mean to take Cole out of there. I meant to take this down. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Cole, you're up, sir.
I just want to share my screen. Hold on.
Go forth and conquer, young man.
I don't know what happened to it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it disappeared on me. Give me 1 second.
No worries. We got time. Hey, Rage. And I'm glad JJ recognized Blue Thunder. If you ever want to see a movie with some absolutely phenomenal helicopter stunts, Blue Thunder is a banger.
Oh, yeah. Blue Thunder is awesome. Even the TV show I like too.
Yeah. TV show if you like Airwolf, Blue Thunder, baby.
Yep. Airwolf was another good one. They had some good shots on that one. It's tough to pull off helicopter gaffs, man.
Let me see if it'll come up.
That's a tough bit because normally you've got somebody in a Bell in front of, somebody in an Apache, like all those Airwolf. You got to be moving top speed in that Bell to get in front of some of those other ones to pull those things off. A lot of Blue Thunder there was some tough filming right there.
I was trying to bring up this one, but it's not letting me bring it up. I just want to show a picture. Well, I want to bring up Keith Cook. And it's telling me my browser has blocked my screen, so I can't share it for some reason. Let me just try this again. I don't know why it's blocking.
While you work to maintain Rage's point about the Vietnam combat pilots for Blue Thunder, you would be there is a lot of so stuntmen and women don't just have to. It's not just falls. They're, for lack of a better term, they kind of do the same shit the SEALs do. It's land, air, and sea. You might have to jump out of a helicopter or off a building. You might have to be in the water and hold your breath. You might have to. So a lot of those special forces guys and stuff, surprisingly enough, do stunt work after the fact. And I think that's a really good point, maintained Rage.
I got you here. Let's do this. We'll bring up Keith Cook. There you go.
Okay, perfect. Because I couldn't bring it up. So
I got you covered. Don't worry. We got you handled.
So yeah, Keith Cook is a guy I watched. And it's funny because he was, he was he was in the original Mortal Kombat as Sub-Zero. He was in a movie called The King of the Kickboxers with Billy Blanks and Lauren Avedon. But I've also seen him in other production movies where he was just a background character doing stunt work. So this is a guy I've always followed because his stunt work and fight coordination was just phenomenal. So, and here's a guy who actually got to play in quite a few roles, but not only as a stunt guy, but because I remember he was in a Jackie Chan movie called Project A with Sammo Hung. So he played one of the pirates in the background because of his fighting ability. So yeah, he's one of the guys I actually liked and followed.
Keith and Cynthia Rothrock here getting her done.
Yeah, and then they were in the movie together just recently last year called Black Creek. It's a western style fighting movie.
Nice.
So, I want to bring up one other person. It's kind of funny. It's kind of hilarious when I bring up his name, but Bob Einstein, Super Dave Osborne.
Super Dave, you cannot mention. I'm so glad you brought him up. You cannot mention stuntmen without bringing up Super Dave.
So it was just the ones where he falls off the CN Tower, or he gets run over by a van, or he gets hit with a golf called golf ball or whatever. It
Playing
was just
piano on the top of the truck, and it goes through the overpass.
it was just one of those things where, you know, because he's basically the world's greatest stuntman. So but that one when he fell off the CN Tower was just it was just hilarious. And then he falls, hits the ground, and then gets run over by the ambulance. So, Super Dave was just was a classic.
He always had some poem going at the end of it. The one that, you know, he'd do some some stunt would go horribly wrong, and then, you know, Bob, the interviewer guy, would come up, and he'd be, you know, roses are red, Bob, you're a putz. I hope that an elephant steps on your nuts. There was always some, there was always some great, you know.
And he had his guy, he had his guy Fuji with him all the time.
Yes, Fuji, his personal doctor and lawyer.
I couldn't speak a word of English.
It takes me back.
Oh man, Super Dave! I can't believe I didn't even think to put him on. Thank you for bringing him along. I can't believe
I figured I was like, oh, he's obvious choice.
Somebody's going to bring up Olsen. They're all over YouTube. If you've never seen any Super Dave clips, go check them out, man. They are what's up. They are the epitome of slapstick, you know, when stunts go bad videos. Yeah. They're spectacular. Spidey, what do you got for us, my man? Who'd you bring along tonight?
My guy, if you all don't know, my favorite film franchise is James Bond. I am a James Bond purist. From 62 all the way to that shit one that came out a couple of years ago, all 25 films. So my guy is the one who helped the original 14, because he died before the Dalton ones, was Bob Simmons, the stunt performer, Connery stunt double, and stunt coordinator, and actor in a few of them. Bob Simmons, because he helped everything. He really shaped that franchise, and he was former Army, I believe, that transitioned into the movie industry, so he knew a lot of the fight sequences and how to maneuver and choreograph them and where to put the camera. I'm trying to present here. I'm sorry.
No worries. We got time. We're going to be doing this for a while. You got time.
So yeah, if you want to share that.
You got it.
So that's him on the ground in the pre-title sequence for Thunderball. He played the character Spectre 6 of Jacques Bouvard, and Connery knows that he's not dead and he has to go after him. And if you've seen the movie, he's dressed as a woman. Anyway, they do the whole fight sequence. It's pretty awesome for 1965. Yeah. And so that's his little bit part there. But he is also, like I said, he doubled for Connery in the 60s as his stunt double. And that's behind the scenes of them, looking at him in the stockings and just discussing everything there. And this is from Dr. No, that's him as the chauffeur standing in for that, if you know that scene with them fighting. And he was the guy in the gun barrel for the first 3 Bond movies before Connery stepped in and did his part.
Fun sidebar on Bob Simmons. One of the reasons he hated that Connery hated Steven Seagal so much is because Bob Simmons was such a good dude. He was just such a good self-effacing guy. And when he ran into Seagal, instantly Connery just hated this guy's guts. And one of the first things he said about him was like, "You are no Bob Simmons."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was like the real deal, down to earth. Everybody loved him, and he helped spawn out in as the franchise grew bigger. The stunts of Rick Sylvester, who did the ski jump in The Spy Who Loved Me. He did, I believe, he was one of the jumpers in the beginning of Moonraker. He did the rock climbing scene for Your Eyes Only, and then a plethora of stunt performers and practical effects people that put it together that made the franchise so fantastic.
Simmons is one of the great gaffers he is the gaffer for the Bond series. If you like any Bond stunts, Bob Simmons is the guy. He's the one that buddy Joe Hooker would go, okay, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think, Bob? And Bob would go, okay, that sounds good, but why don't you make it go over this boat right here? And they go, oh, shit, okay, let's do that.
And he was the one that perfected the thing in Hollywood. I believe it was You Only Live Twice was the first one they did it, with having the stuntmen in conjunction with the explosions go off trampolines and springboards to make it look like they're being launched from the explosion. So he was the pioneer of that.
Good pull.
I thought you were going to say that it was the first race swap in Hollywood with Connery becoming Japanese.
Turning Japanese.
Excellent pull.
Yeah, and I just pointed out that after that fight, Spider. After I love when he threw the flowers on top of him.
Just took the time to throw the flowers as he's making his escape.
Yeah.
Excellent pull. All right, Graham, who'd you bring along for us?
I brought a couple, so I'll whittle it down. I'll give the honorable mentions. So we'll start with the honorable mentions. I can't, being a former Star Wars fan, we can't do this without talking about, and G.I. Joe fan, we can't do this without talking about Ray Park, I don't think.
Absolutely.
For those that don't know, Ray Park played Darth Maul. He was voiced by Peter Serafinovitz, but Ray Park did all the Darth Maul fight choreography and stunts in Star Wars. And then he was Snake Eyes. Chad Stahelski, I know he's a little bit more modern, but he's a director and stunt film coordinator now, who's collaborated with Keanu Reeves since the Matrix films, and he did all the John Wick films. He's been second unit director on a lot of stuff. I think he's attached to the Ghost of Tsushima series they're going to do on Netflix, but he got his start doing as the stunt double and fight choreography with Keanu Reeves and the Wachowskis on the Matrix films, and then the John Wick films. And then we talked about it, I'm sure we will. Buster Keaton is sort of, I don't know if you want to say he's the total progenitor of stunts, but we talked about Steamboat.
That's fair call.
Steamboat Bill Jr. with the house where he's kind of, scratching his head and the house falls down in the cutout for the attic. And, that was actually one of his, I think the General may have been his first long, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Ray Park, man. And again, Ray Park, born in Glasgow, but moved to London, and he studied, and he was actually on the Wushu English national team for a long time, competed in Malaysia on the English, British or Great Britain, United Kingdom, Wushu national team for a bunch of years. So this is that when the martial artists are really kind of entrenched in stunts and stuff. But Ray Park, if you love Duel of the Fates, you would not have it without Ray Park, because he was just perfect.
I think if you are going to credit anybody for changing the overall saber duel standard in Star Wars, it is absolutely Ray Park.
100% it's Ray Park. They went from the samurai, more Bushido type fighting to this more aggressive, sort of updated, which, again,
you have the original
kit. It's a prequel, so should it be more intense? But it also highlights the sort of the heights of what the old the Republic was before the Empire took over, and that things kind of stagnate. So from that aspect, I'm fine with it. I know people say, "Oh, why would it be more intense and crazier?" In the prequels. Well, it's the galaxy's in a state of decline when we get to by the time we get to episode 4, 5, and 6. So I'm fine with it. I know that's a common refrain that I hear, but yes, Ray Park is you don't get Yoda and Dooku, you don't get Yoda and the Emperor, you don't get any of that frenetic, crazy. We're not going to talk about the Acolyte or Obi-Wan or any of the trash. Even though the sad part there is that's facsimile trying to look original, and it's just not, and it's all back to Ray Park. 100%.
Absolutely.
Can I just jump on top of what you said for Chad Stahelski? I always get his name, Stahelski.
Chad Stahelski.
Yeah. For anybody out there, watch the documentary Wick is Pain about how him and Keanu Reeves break down everything into their past and their breakdowns and what they had to do to prepare to make that first movie, and then going forward, and who they got involved and everything. It's so fascinating. And I think it's like 2 hours. It'll be over in a minute.
Yes, Chad was also Brandon's stunt double on The Crow, and he could have been the one that got shot himself, 100%. I was, again, if I had more time, I would talk about all of the deeper lore.
Go ahead,
Chad.
you got time. Go ahead, man.
All the
We got
time in the
time.
world.
Okay, well, yeah, no,
Fire away.
So Chad, yeah, he we were talking about Bruce Lee. Chad studied Jeet Kune Do in his earlier days, before he did. And the Crow was sort of his big break, doubling for Brandon Lee. And then after that is when he got into the Matrix franchises. And I know we talked about wire work and stuff. Modern wire work, you can say what you want. The Matrix changed the way modern wire work is done. So if you like John Woo and Chow Yun-Fat, what they did in Crouching Tiger, you owe that to Chad Stahelski and the Wachowskis and what they did in the Matrix films, because that really they took, that's like taking the biplane and making a jet. That's really what they did. Same thing with the bullet time stuff. All of that, he was sort of groundbreaking in a lot of the stunts and the things that he did. Really pushed Hollywood forward, and I like to kind of highlight those guys that, okay, they're not just maybe good at their craft, but they took it up to the next notch. Chad Stahelski is one of those guys. I know doesn't do as much. He's more director, and he actually played, he was Handsome Chad. If you saw that new terrible Matrix film, he actually plays Trinity's husband in the Matrix. That's him. That's Chad Stahelski. So you've seen him. But yes, The Crow and Chad Stahelski, he thought about retiring when Brandon got shot and killed, because obviously Bruce Lee, he studied Jeet Kune Do. That's Bruce Lee's discipline, and was such a fan. And that's one of the reasons that Chad wanted to do The Crow, is he wanted to work with Brandon. And when that happened, he had a big come to Jesus meeting of do I keep doing this? And we're obviously better off for him making the correct decision. But yes, he
Chad doing a fall there off the building, some amazing stunt work in this movie.
I was going to say they had some pretty good stuff in The Crow. If anybody's never seen this movie, this is actually a really good movie. Very dark. The new one's fucking terrible. Don't watch that one.
Yeah, the remake sucks ass. But if you ever want to watch the real version of The Crow, the 94 version was fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Again, he did minor stuff. He did the Expendables 2 and Ninja Assassin and stuff, but that was more a stunt coordinator. Buster Keaton, again, he's what I would consider the progenitor. Again, he grew up in Giles, refresh my memory, was it the Three Keatons, I think they were called, his family, the vaudeville.
Yep. So
he grew up in it, and like you said, transitioning from film to the silent film era and then to the talkies. His story's actually kind of sad, because he ended up thinking he'd get his big break with MGM, and those films that he did, what was it called? What No Beer? The one where he's in the barrel and it falls off the back of the truck and rolls, and that's how he gets away.
Yep.
Those films didn't have as big a return as they thought. So he actually, the height of his career was like Steamboat Bill Jr., where the house falls around him. Legend has it that when that happened, the producers and stuff were like, okay, so when he dies, what are we going to do?
Right.
They didn't think he would survive that, and he marked out on the ground. And again, it says a lot of credit to him and the other guys putting the set together, because that house, I think that square was 3 foot by 3 foot.
Yep. When
the front of that house came down, and they said, if you stand here, you should be fine. And he's like, should? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, okay. He also was the one that sort of wrote the book on how to fall, how to take a punch, and how to, your body, you need to go limp. Don't tense up. You just need to kind of go with it.
Yep.
He was the one to such a point that when they were looking for gag men, and not necessarily for stunts or whatever, but for what was funny or for what you could do, most guys back in the 20s and 30s, they'd have what they called gag men, which is, okay, these are the guys that are writing the jokes, and then you go perform it or you go do it. anytime they tried to do this for Buster, they're like, he does it so much better than everybody else. That was actually his in to the silent film era and the 2-reel, what we call short films now. So yeah, I wanted to put him on the list because he is sort of we wouldn't have modern. Yep, that's this. Yeah, I mean, good Lord, you got to have some absolute faith in your guys that they're going to do when they say it's going to fall where it's going to fall. God.
If anybody's curious about this, that facade right there is actually 2 tons worth of material that was coming down around him.
Yeah, this is before lightweight materials and stuff. They essentially just framed a facade of a house and tipped it over.
Yep, built it and dumped it right on him.
And you can tell because you watch the second. You see how much the second floor of the house sags. It's because there's no longer that outside structural wall to support the second floor. That's why it's sagging.
It's got a group of guys around the outside of the camera shot. Got ropes attached to the front of this thing that literally pulled it straight down on top of them. Bam.
Yep. So I wanted to put Buster on the list. Again, Chad Stahelski, Ray Park we talked about. The one I wanted to kind of key on that a lot of people don't talk about is Tony Jaa. And if you don't know who Tony Jaa is, I'm assuming most people do. But he grew up in a poor family farming rice in Thailand. And he started practicing literally out in his dad's rice paddy. Learned Muay Thai at the local temple, then ended up joining an outfit in, I think it was in Bangkok or just outside of Bangkok called Muay Thai Stunt. And he did stunt work for various Hong Kong films and other indigenous Thai films. He obviously got his big break in 2003 with Ong Bak. And if you guys haven't seen Ong Bak, the scene where he's chasing, it's towards the beginning of the movie. He's chasing a guy, and it's funny because it's kind of classic Hollywood where there's 2 guys walking across the street, where they're holding like the glass or the crate of watermelons or chickens, and the car drives through it. These guys are carrying rolls of barbed wire. Where everybody talks about Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, I feel like Tony Jaa doesn't get enough credit because he's never had a stunt double. He's always done his own stunts for the maybe a few are the later Hollywood ones they insisted for insurance reasons, but all of the indigenous Thai films like Ong Bak or The Protector or Kill Zone, he did all that stuff. And if you haven't seen him, that dude, The Raid, yeah, that's another good one. He does some bonker stuff that's very dangerous. Now, again, Thailand doesn't have the same sort of restrictions that the United States or Canada has, so he's able to get away with maybe a little bit more as far as risk is concerned, especially some of the parkour type stuff that he does where he's jumping from roof, air conditioner to, fire escape to get to the top of a roof or whatever. And then after that, and that's the other thing is some of these smaller budget films, they're filming them in one shot or a couple of shots. So it's like, okay, now you got to fight the guy and not kill him while you're doing it because the dude's a Muay Thai master. So
I think some of Tony Jaa's best uncredited stuff when you were talking about parkour, if you've ever seen Casino Royale, the remake, the first Blonde Bond film with Daniel Craig, Tony Jaa is the guy doing some of Daniel Craig's best stuff. The leap into the AC unit and the break through the wall, some of that stuff, Tony Jaa, uncredited stuff.
So that's what I'm saying. He doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of this stuff. So I wanted to highlight him.
I think he doesn't get enough play, and I think it's simply because he's in the Thai market. He's not in the American market as much, and I think the thing, we're going on about all these great, Hollywood stuntmen. The market that doesn't get enough recognition for what it does is Bollywood, the Thai group, all the international groups that do some of the stuff these guys are gaffing in fight scenes is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you ever really want to see like Hollywood, sure we could do a fight scene. That's one thing, but not like these fellows abroad are doing. They're pulling some. There was one. I'm gonna die an unhappy man because I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head. They do like 3.5 minutes of a run through a building, and it's all squibbed off, and they've got one shot at doing this. It's a running gunfight scene. And if you know how to set up squibs, they've only got one shot at this, and they ran the whole thing in a one take with a dolly running through, the hallways as they went. going in front of all these guys running in front of these squibs. So the timing on that was phenomenal. And it was a Thai film. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. I'll come up with it 2:00 in the morning and put it in the comments below, and everybody wants to go back and watch it can find out the name of it. But the stuff that they're pulling off in international markets is really kind of putting Hollywood to shame at this point.
It wasn't Time for Consequences, was it?
Let me check. No Time for Consequences is probably
A Time for Consequences.
What is it?
A Time for Consequences. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I haven't seen everything over there, but I've seen some of that.
SPL2. Yep. There you go.
Was that the one?
Yep. SPL2, A Time for Consequences. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, if you want to ever see one of the best, go check that out. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It is one of the most amazing running gunfights you'll ever see on film. Probably will ever see on film.
Yeah. And Tony really was kind of, I mean, if you like Bruce Lee, you're going to like Tony Jaa. I mean, he's built like that. Just, negative 5% body fat and just, looks like Gumby doing shit.
Great snaps at the end of all of his impacts. Really sells. Everything hits, and it hits like a ton of bricks. Just outstanding.
You guys have seen On Bach, right?
Yeah.
On Bach, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 things I just want to throw out. Graham, when you mentioned, with the lightsabers, I think the closest movie that came close to actually is Empire Strikes Back, Luke and Vader, because that fight was pretty, but that was pretty much the only one. So for the OT, where the fight saber scenes were like really intense.
I think it's brutal because Luke's unexperienced, so there it has that kind of freneticness to it, and Vader. Every time Vader kind of like he starts off at level 1. Oh, he actually is sealed, so I need to move it to here. He kind of keeps up in his game. It has that chaotic feeling to it, and I think that was very much intentional.
Vader basically toying with him the whole time, just seeing
essentially, but every time and again, the filmmaking is so good. You can tell. You can't see Vader's face, but you can tell like an eyebrow went up. Like, oh, he's actually better than I thought he would be. And then Obi-Wan has taught you well. I'm full of surprises. Oh, he doesn't. Yeah, that's so good, so good.
I thought they sold the original one really well. The Sir Alec Guinness and Dave Prowse one originally, the very first Vader Kenobi fight scene.
Sure. It was more again.
It
was subtle
as the Luke Vader.
Yeah,
not the same level. That one was that was fantastic.
Yeah, episode 4 is more of that samurai, like they all but bow at the beginning and then have a fight, whereas Empire is Luke's trying to save his friends. He doesn't know everything yet. So that's the bad guy, and I got to get him, and I'm going to use the things I learned 10 minutes ago, and hopefully it's going to work. And Vader knows and just, and again, telling him, no, actually, I'm your dad, homie. Completely throws him off his game. I know he's minus an arm at that point, so Vader's risking nothing at this point. So, but still.
One other guy I want to mention quickly was a guy named Cyril Raffaelli.
Yeah,
I almost forgot about him because I can't remember when you were mentioning the parkour. But he was in a movie called District 13. And if you want to watch some crazy parkour, that's the movie to watch. And then, but this guy was also in Live Free and Die Hard.
Yes,
the 4th Die Hard movie, because even that one part when he's running around, Bruce Willis, John McClane's like, what is this, a hamster? Like, because he's running around doing his stuff like that. So, but he's also a martial artist as well. So, District 13, 2004, really. I can't remember the other actor's name who was in it, but just fantastic fighting parkour scenes. Just insane.
Is that a French film?
Yeah.
Okay. It is. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I think he was in Le Pacte de Lupi as well. Wasn't he one of the stunt guys in that as well?
Yes.
Yeah. And another great. It's released in the West is Brotherhood of the Wolf. If you haven't seen that one, that's a great flick. Great sword and martial arts combat. French film.
They did a remake with Paul Walker, but it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Le Pacte de Lupi. Phenomenal.
All right, boys. I'm going to bookend it here a little bit. We're going to go way back to the beginning, and then we're going to go forward in time a little bit. We're going to start out with a fellow by the name of Yakima Knut. Let's talk about how this all started out. Blah, blah, I can't talk. Hold on. There we go. More whiskey. I'm good. Enos Edward Yakima Knut. When the movies first started out and they wanted to do stunts, you had your Buster Keatons, and then you had your Westerns. And essentially, they went out looking for rodeo riders, and they found the champ, a fellow by the name of Yakima Knut. His real first name was Enos. They called him Yakima because he was supposedly from the Yakima River Valley in Washington.
Yep.
And he is right there, right up in Graham Robbins' neck of the woods. And he is responsible for, if you've ever seen a Western, Yakima Knut did it first. And I wanted to pull this. This is from a fellow by the name of Miklos Vinci. That's a tough one to do. This I want to shout out his channel because I don't want to steal from anybody. I already did that enough tonight. But this is them talking about what Yakima Knut did in Stagecoach. This is really where he got known because this is John Wayne's start. And this is where people realized what they could really do with stuntmen.
Memorable thing about Yakima's action and stunts in Stagecoach, and bearing in mind there were many other stunts in it, but the one stunt that everybody remembers is the jump onto the horses, the team, the slide under the stagecoach. The way it was shot, it was incredibly well shot. When you look at it now,
now this is him, of course, over here getting ready to jump onto the team. And this has been done 100 times in Westerns.
You realize that the equipment they were dealing with, they'd have an old truck chassis, flatbed on it, out in the desert. And if you look at it today, it's as smooth as a gyroscope. It's absolutely incredibly shot. You see a man doing it for real.
And there he goes underneath the stagecoach. The reason I wanted to bring that one up first is because you have people who were in the business that recognized that, like Spielberg, Lucas, what have you, and decided, you know what? If I'm going to do a really great movie, I got to redo one of the greatest original stunts ever made. And that's where Indy comes in.
Yep.
Now, talking about the span of time in between point A and point B, not only did they get to redo this stunt, they perfected it, and they got to improve on it. Because not only did he slide out underneath in one piece, he gets to climb back up on that same truck. I'm going to get hit on YouTube for this, but I'll take it out in the VOD. You got a nice little addition of him getting run over by the truck, almost. Now, all of this is, you got camera tricks that allow this to happen that make it look a lot faster than it actually is. Here's where we get the improvement. I'm going to ruin it a little bit here while we're doing it. These are the improvements that they added. There's a skid pad underneath there. He's actually in a divot under here, underneath the truck. He's also got full skid pads underneath, and then when he flips over, he's got full skid pads on the front, which we can thank Tom Steele for perfecting way back in the day.
And this stunt gets replicated. I mean, if you've seen Back to the Future 3, if you've seen Speed, if you've seen, I mean, this stunt has been replicated many times.
There are just certain gaffes that you look at them and they go, that's such a good gaff, and it gets better and better every time we do it because we find safer and safer ways to do it. You can't help but just redo them over and over again.
Old tricks are the best tricks, right?
Yep. Now he's on another, now he's got a skid pad underneath him. He's still got the trench in front of him. Got some baseball mix there. Gives way real nice. And back up on the truck he goes. Now the Nazi's got a real problem. Whack! Great kick.
Freaking best.
Doink. Doink.
Just amazing slams. I mean, this, I absolutely love that bit. I love the fact that the greats later on in the day went back to the original greats and said, you know, you're not going to get much better than that. So let me pull that off of there and show you another one of his great. He invented a lot of good stuff that you see in Westerns. There's a crupper mount. See if I can find that one real quick. That's Dar. I need Yakima chases himself. Where am I at here? There we go. All right. You're going to see a couple of dandies right in a row here that he invented as well.
Maverick had that slide as well. I forgot.
Powerful Popnecker, want to give a shout out to this channel. If you ever want to see some of the greatest stunts ever invented, go to this one.
You hear that, boy?
Real young John Wayne. Now here he's going to take off. That's Yakima. Great side mount. And a crupper mount right behind him. That's Yakima taking off, and that's a crupper mount. You jump over the back of the horse and hit this, and that's Yakima chasing after himself because they couldn't find anybody else to do the damn stunt. He invented a lot of cool things. He is the progenitor of the harness. So when you see the guys that are on the motorcycle and they're going 35, 40 miles an hour and somebody hits them with a board and they fly off the motorcycle, you can thank Yakima Canutt for that. He invented that drag line. Originally, they used it on horses in a running W. Now I have one. I'll show you what I'm talking about here.
Yeah,
They
the
no
crupper mount
longer
doesn't lend itself to having children later in life.
No, it does not. The harnesses on these things are incredibly painful. I'm led to believe. I have not worn one. Thank God. This is what the running W originally started out as. It's a horse, somebody's on it, and they would put those cables on the horse's fetlocks and drag it down and make it eat dirt. Well, they wound up having to shoot so many horses, and it got too expensive and cruel. They were like, yeah, we ain't doing that anymore. But here's an example of what it used to look like in the Westerns back in the day. Some more fantastic stunt work. You got a man on a horse who's coming at you. There you go. That little tumble, they used to take the cables and haul the horses down. They don't do that anymore. They ride train them now. The horses will actually do that on their own, which seems to work.
Yeah, I think Seven Samurai, they hurt a lot of horses with that.
They did indeed. And they got into a little bit of trouble with that. The U.S. did when they tried to remake it because the Japanese didn't. Kurosawa didn't care. They didn't have the ASPCA. He didn't give two shits. And they did use those cables for the running W, and that's why they scones that deal. Now, to be fair, when they started shooting a bunch of these horses, Yakima being the stunt rider and the cowboy that he was, because he legit was a rodeo cowboy. That's how he started out. And he was probably one of the all-time greats in rodeo. He was a bulldogger and a bronc buster by trade. Man, talk about tough. Just quick sidebar. If you ever, I don't know how you beat a bulldogger. I don't know how you hit a man who can wrestle a steer to the ground and think you're going to shake him. that just ain't going to work. So these guys were flat tough. So what he did was take those cables and say, okay, instead of the horses, let's put them on human beings. Now, their stunts in Ben-Hur, they got the chariot races. All of the cables that he invented wound up being used in Ben-Hur, and he was, before there was such thing as a lead stunt gaffer, he was the lead stunt gaffer for that amazing chariot race in Ben-Hur. His boy was actually the stand-in for not Charlton Heston, but the guy, what was the actor's name that he was racing against? It'll come to me here in a second. He's the one that takes the big jump because he runs over another chariot that's downed. And the only thing that happened in that entire sequence was Yakima's son wound up cutting his chin when he didn't follow his dad's advice and say to stick on the chariot. He thought it would make it more dramatic if he went all the way out of the chariot and then pulled himself back down onto it. Well, he hit his chin on the bottom and split it wide open. But that was the only hit that they took out of the whole thing. So if you're ever watching a Western, you ever watch a stuntman get yanked off of something, a lot of the cable work that you see, you can thank Yakima Canutt for that. He wound up not getting an Academy Award until much later. It was in the 60s, and he finally got a Lifetime Achievement Award before they ever even got credits and what have you. So you can thank him for the start of most of the good stuff that you see. Now, I'm going to move on to the man that I consider to be, do you call him the king of the stuntmen? Boy, that's a tough one. You're in the 60s, 70s, 80s now, and you've got two people that really run the show. You got Buddy Joe Hooker. He's the car jumper. And you got Dar Robinson. And he is literally the fall guy. Dar Robinson was born 1947. He was born kind of into sort of Hollywood. Dad was into gymnastics. He was a gymnast, very athletic. And a lot of the cable work for falls that you see now, Dar invented all this stuff. And he did it when he was setting a bunch of world records and when he was working with Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds is one of the few people, and there's a couple of them, we'll probably hit them when we start BSing about actors. And we'll get around to Tom Cruise here in a bit. Burt Reynolds was very tight with his stunt crew because he was a rough and tumble kind of action guy. And he got close to his stunt guys and he wanted to learn about the business. And he found out how talented these dudes were and finally decided to put Dar on the other side of the camera.
I believe Dar Robinson is who he was sort of the archetype that the Fall Guy TV show in the 70s was modeled after, correct?
Yes, sir. That is a fact. And the name The Fall Guy comes from the fact that he was literally, if you needed a fall, you called Dar because he had done it. I'll start off. This is from, you can find this on YouTube and you can find it Behind the Stunts is the channel name. And if you ever want to see more than you ever wanted to know about Dar Robinson, and not just what a great stuntman he was, but the technological advances that occurred during the time and sort of under his watch. Him and Buddy Joe both, because Buddy Joe was real big. The two of them, the airbags were just coming into their prime at the time. They were learning about, we can use these airbags, we can do incredible jumps. They also put them in cars. So this is how the auto industry, they're like, well, hey, maybe we can figure out a way, we can put these in automobiles and save regular people. You can thank stuntmen. If you get in a car crash and an airbag saves you, you can thank Buddy Joe and Dar for that action. Let me show you a couple of clips. This is at the end of Papillon. Steve McQueen, Dustin Hoffman, they're on Devil's Island, and this is Steve McQueen making his jump for his last attempt to get off of Devil's Island. This is actually Dar Robinson making this jump. This is 100+ feet off of a cliff into some really choppy water, and down he goes.
I think that's actually off the coast of Cabo San Lucas, Mexico,
Yes,
right?
yes, sir, it is. Yep, that's where so a lot of cliff divers do it off of this face, but they're very specific on the weather conditions. And it was so calm, they had to wait an extra 2 weeks to get it rough enough before Dar and the director thought, okay, this will look good. We got to chop it up a little bit so I don't hit this like a ton of concrete. So he's got that one. Here's this is a great Magnum Force. Dirty Harry and David Soul got a little bike race going on. This is a great jump. There's Dar doing the land, and there's him as David Soul going off the edge. That's him going into the water right there. Boom.
That helmet flies off. Right.
Helmet takes off. There's a good firewalk by Dar.
I have a good fire gag.
Here's a good helicopter drop. This is a world record breaker right here.
Would he have done Coogan's Bluff as well? Because remember there was a motorcycle scene Clint Eastwood was riding.
It is one of the first cable pulls that they did effectively. This is narrated by Chuck Norris. So if you want to watch a movie, not only are you going to get to see some great stunts, you get to see Chuck back in his heyday. Let me get to 6.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, no joke. All right, let me back up just a hair. I'm going to go ahead and do this here.
A stunt that was the climax of the movie.
This is he's setting up Sharky's Machine. If you've never seen it, fairly entertaining movie. It's a little cheese-tastic, but you know, not a bad film. And they did a world record breaking jump on this one. Dar Robinson goes backwards out a window, 230. Let me check my notes. 232 feet. That record stands to this day as the highest jump into an airbag out of a commercial building. Now, when you see the stunt, and you'll see it here in a minute, he goes out backwards, but then he's got to turn around because you got to see the airbag, make sure he hits it.
Quite a few gags before that, and we had to top them all.
Biggest problem in the stunt industry, that statement right there. Done quite a few stunts, and then we got to top them all.
Yep.
These guys, they live for, so-and-so's got a stunt for this. All right, I'm going to do, he did 220 feet. I'm going to do 240 feet. He did 240. I'm going to do 260. It just never ends with these guys. That's how they're wired.
6 a.m., the morning of the film's major stunt.
I tell you what, it ought to be interesting. It's the first time I've ever come
That's Dar on the right there.
backwards from this height. And I figure I can hit the bag. I just kind of wonder how I'm going to hit it.
Partner, I don't care how you hit it, as long as you get up, jump over and run over and grab me afterwards and say it was fun all the way there.
I promise. I hope so.
Wearing a face mask of the villain he's doubling doesn't make
And he's supposed to be doubling for Henry Silva, one of the great all-time Hollywood bad guys. He looks absolutely nothing like Henry Silva, so they just shot him in the dark.
It's easier. By falling backwards out of the window, it will be that critical moment when Dar can't see his airbag.
Sounds good to me.
Roll cameras! I'm shooting inside of this building.
Anytime, Dar!
Dar's going now.
Goes out backwards. Turns around and down he goes. He did an absolute ton of amazing jumps. And one of his best is he did a jump off a tower in Toronto that he was over 700 feet and he had a parachute on and didn't pop the chute until the very last minute. Almost didn't make that one, but that one's another record holder, and he was doubling for
that was the CN Tower.
That was the CN Tower one that Colhauser was talking about earlier.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you now there was a bunch of it's 220 feet into the airbag he did, and it was a 700-foot jump from the CN Tower. He got a opportunity. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. That's where I wanted to hit right here. I'm going to let this play. I'm going to put her back on stage. I'm going to let this play a little bit.
I love Burt Reynolds' face. You've never seen Burt Reynolds look nervous, and he looks nervous.
Oh,
like,
he was sweating bullets because he was like, I don't know about
find
this.
another clip of Burt Reynolds not looking confident in his life. I'll give you $100.
Yeah, good luck. Now, one of the cool things about Burt was he also gave people the opportunity to get in front of the camera. He and Dar were buddies, and he decided he was going to let him be. After Sharky's Machine, a movie called Stick came out, and he got the opportunity to put Dar in
So I
Stick.
said, well, I want to be an actor. And I thought, well, okay. So I said, well, somewhere down the line, I'll find a part for you where you can act, and eventually we'll blow you out of a window or something. So this script.
That's a good shot of Dar right there, and he's got contact lenses in because he's supposed to be an albino. Burt calls him bunny eyes through the whole thing.
Came along. I mean, it wasn't a small part, it was a big part. I was concerned about whether he could do it, but I wasn't nearly as...
He's just menacing as all get out in this movie. If you ever get a chance to see it, check it out. That's a pretty good show.
Concerned as the studio was.
What you looking at? I never saw anybody with bunny eyes before.
When I finally made up my mind he was going to do it, there wasn't anybody that could talk me out of it.
Now, they get to this part right here. Not only did he get to be in the film, he created an absolute Hollywood classic. stunt gaffers got tired of setting up camera shots so that they had to try and take the airbag out of it and didn't want it to show, but they wanted to catch people on the way down from the top. They wanted to be, they're like, God dang, there's always that airbag in the way. You can always tell it's a gaff because there's that airbag in the way. Dar Robinson invented what's called a deceleration cable. And what it allows you to do is do a jump and the camera will not see an airbag because there ain't one. There's nothing but deceleration cable. So if you ever go bungee jumping off of a, hot air balloon, or you go to a park or whatever, and they go, hey, you want to bungee jump off of this? You can thank Dar Robinson for that. So much like Star Trek gave us cell phones, check
This
this out.
time, the climax to the film called Stick would be from the 22nd floor of a Miami building. Both Dar and Burt wanted the killer's death scene to be so original, it would stun the sophisticated action movie fans. What Dar came up with was truly a film first.
Yes, I'm going. And the stunt became so dangerous, it was beyond belief, because he was going to go off this building backwards with no airbag.
Here's him looking nervous again.
Just the memory of it.
There's a shot.
Please help me.
Why don't you push real hard? You might hit the water.
A 200-foot fall with no airbag.
So what happens is you go a couple of rails down. This part of the stunt, there's no cables. It's because the cables, you see, if you look down here, the cables along the side, you can't see them, but the shadows, you can see them all bunched up. He keeps on going. Those cables kick in after he hits a certain point and then start to decelerate him. And they got pulleys on them. So it's like, oh boy. Now, the first time they tried that, they did a bag of water that was roughly his weight, and the cable snapped. And that thing hit like a bag of water would, and boy, were they nervous. He went back and refined it. They go, okay, we figured out what we did wrong. And they cleaned her up and they got her going. So he did so many incredible things. His end was a mystery to people. Dar Robinson, sadly, died at the age of 41. It was shortly after Lethal Weapon had wrapped. He'd done principal photography, and he was doing another show. And him and another stunt guy were doing run-bys, which is basically they were doing motorcycle runs past a camera. They'd been doing them 100 times, over and over and over. It was no big thing, and they'd send everybody home. It was just the two of them. And Dar missed a turn full speed and went 40-some feet down a embankment and was killed. Now, here's the weird part of this. To me, Dar Robinson had a son, also a stuntman, who at 41 years of age died from a cardiac incident, just out of the blue. Now, you take those two things and put them together, people have surmised it is possible Dar was doing his stunt, had a cardiac incident, which is why he missed that simple little turn that he did 100 times before. And that's what caused him to go off that 40-foot embankment, and away he went. So even the greats, you got to have your crew around all the time. I got those two out of the way. I want to do my honorable mention here. I'm going to get him in front of God and everybody, because you can't talk to me about fight choreography, especially fight gaffing and large scenes, without talking about Al Leong. I'm going to play this one. I'm going to put the sound down. There's him in Big Trouble in Little China. There's him in Lethal Weapon. He was Endo in Lethal Weapon. He has gaffed more fight scenes than most people have been in. And he finally got the opportunity to pick up, some side work, some in front of the camera stuff. He's in Lethal Weapon. He's got that great scene where he busts open the candy. They've got that, display, the concession stand thing, and he busts it open, takes a candy bar out of there, starts eating it. Die Hard. before they start. Did I say Lethal Weapon? I probably screwed it up. In Die Hard, where they're getting ready to, the SWAT team's going to come in the front door and they're all lined up in the building getting ready to go at it. This is from a film, The Henchman, from 2018. If you ever want to learn about what, a great fight choreographer looks like and a great stunt gaffer, go check this out. This guy has done it all. Here he's giving The Rock tips about how to sell the sword play and all that. He is an absolute phenomenal. Boom.
He was the choreographer on The Raid, right?
Yes.
He was also in an episode. He was also in season 3. Season 3 opening of Knight Rider, where they were at a Chinese restaurant fighting David Hasselhoff. So he was there.
No.
Another guy. So
I'm telling you, it amazes me how far the art has come. We've looked at some real early stuff and how goofy it looks. Just the little things, your camera angles, the speeds on the vehicles that you're in, all the leaps and bounds that they have made. And some of these guys get pretty banged up. I did not cover the movie Hooper. If you want to go get a really good idea of what stuntmen are like when they're, not working, go check that out. Buddy Joe Hooker and Burt Reynolds. Yeah. Good buddies. That's why they decided, hey, let's get together. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention Hal Needham.
Sure.
I'm not going to go over his whole history, but go look him up. Absolute classic, car chase, great driver, absolutely amazing gaffer, turned into a good director in his own right.
Kind of like Chad Stahelski.
Exactly.
I'm glad you brought up Dal Jung, because so many of the Kowloon or the Asian guys, they, a lot of times they'll try and transition to America and they don't make it. And he's one of the guys that did. Like you mentioned earlier, so much of that Bollywood and just the Far East stuff doesn't get enough credit here in the States. And some of that, some of the stunts in those movies, like, Hard Boiled, Chow Yun Fat is, I know the joke is he's too fat to do his own stunts, but some of the stunts in those Gun Fu, that early John Woo stuff, some of those stunts are crazy. Even Face Off and some of the other John Woo stuff, those stunts are bonkers. And that all comes from that Kowloon, cinema type stuff.
I like even like the first SPL.
First one.
With Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's funny because Graham, that you mentioned that, like, sometimes I'm actually okay with stuff staying over in the East, because, like, listen, I don't know, like, I'm not a fan of The Departed because The Departed was stolen from Infernal Affairs.
From Infernal Affairs, yeah, 100%.
Which is a
far
superior movie.
Yep.
And I just think sometimes, and because we were talking about Cynthia Rothrock earlier, she went to the Far East to film rather than do stuff in America, because she got more play out there, doing movies and stuff. So sometimes it's not a bad thing, because we all know what happens with the Hollywood system. Like, it was, what was that one movie? What was the one Dirty Harry movie where Evan Kim was in it? Because almost all these movies now, anytime they have an Asian actor, where is this guy going to be able to fight or whatever?
Deadpool.
And sorry,
the Deadpool.
Yeah. They always, and they just kind of fail miserably in how they're going to do things. So, and it happens all the time. And that's why I just say, you know what? I'd just rather watch a Hong Kong movie than watching somebody come here because listen, it worked in Lethal Weapon 4 when they brought Jet Li.
Sure.
Right? So, but there are movies that it works, and then then there are movies that it doesn't work. And I know the whole thing. Listen, we all know about Jackie Chan and what he's done because he kind of went mainstream because he was doing Rush Hour. He was doing the one with Owen Wilson. Like it just kind of got into a fad where it's just like, you know what? I prefer the
Super
Hong
Cop's
Kong,
better.
Yeah, I love Super Cop.
Police Story 3, yeah.
Yeah, even Super
Yeah,
Cop
Police
2.
Story.
Because Michelle
Yeah.
Yeoh's in the second one. Jackie Chan
Oh
plays
shit!
the small
Yeah,
role.
that's right. Yeah.
But it's anytime they think just because you're going to Americafy something, it's going to be good, and then it's not.
Yeah, you mentioned Infernal Affairs and The Departed. I think one of the only examples was City on Fire. Became Reservoir Dogs, and I think but Quentin Tarantino is a singular talent. I mean, I think Quentin Tarantino maybe better than anybody else sort of gets that Kurosawa or Eastern flavor. It's hard, but he's kind of outside. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's outside the system, but at the same time, I feel like he gets given a lot of creative freedom, and he kind of does his own thing.
Yeah, and that's how I look at it. Where guys like Al Young and others, like, because Chuck Norris was able to do a lot, basically with with this Delta Force and Mission in Action and even with with the other movies like Michael Dudikoff with American Ninja and stuff like that, they were able to exceed a little more than what the mainstream. Listen, you like canon films or not? They were able to do something that
Canon films were the shit. Come on.
Yeah, they couldn't do. Because I was actually talking to Chris Gore, and I said to him, I said, man, I missed it. Can you imagine if we had the canon back today for what they produced, and they produced.
Man.
You can say what you want, but they produce a certain level of movies that we all enjoyed, and we still follow.
Yeah. Nobody's going to argue against Commando, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's funny because when you spoke earlier about the flying through the air, Commando's perfect example of that. When they're fighting, when Arnold's throwing the grenades, and you see the things launch up, and they're in the background there.
Yeah.
I think we have got to the point where we get to put the greats away. We get to just bullshit about what's your favorite stunt, who's your favorite stunt guy, what's your favorite action film. We get to just cut loose, man.
Before we do that, I wanted to key on something. I want to get your, because I know there's a little bit of crossover when we talk about Fall Guys taking hits, and guys that are known to. Perfect example is Steven Seagal. He's notorious for beating the shit out of his stunt guys and being terrible to them and saying, "Yeah, I do most of it," and I'm a keto specialist and all this garbage. In that same vein, I was always fascinated by the crossover. Colhauser, I'm sure you're going to key on this, between wrestling and stuntmen and taking a fall and how to do that.
I was just going to mention wrestling.
I think wrestlers do not. People go, wrestling's all fake. Okay, let's get this on the table. Are things scripted? Is there a set story that's supposed to happen? Absolutely. However, if you think what those people do in the ring is fake by athletic standards, or if that shit don't hurt, you are out of your daggone mind.
Yep.
That is some of the greatest example of living stunt work that you're ever going to see right there.
Yeah, and Graham, I was going to point that out at some point. I was just going to say wrestlers, because you cannot do what these guys do to anybody. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he took that pile driver, like that damn near ruined his. Basically, he was pretty much almost done.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. If Coco Beware, when he used to do that Ghostbuster, I was just like, if you don't plant that thing properly, you're finished.
I'll go back to your point when we, I like to, I'm the OG guy. I like the, the early guys that started it all. You go to the early days of wrestling, your Larry the Axe Hennig, your Rowdy Pipers, the early, the Gagnes and, the Mad Dog Vachons and all those cats. These are the guys that perfected it. And they were tough people, man. All of these guys were not, they didn't just, show up and go, hey, I want to be an actor. Bullshit. Every one of these guys got a background as a bouncer or they're judoka or, they're tough people. Stunt people originally were tough guys. They started out as rodeo cowboys, and then wrestling just kind of took that and moved it in a little bit different direction. Let's get more gymnastic with it. Let's get a little bit more acrobatic with it. But it's just as tough and it's just as physically demanding. I mean,
basically a live stunt show, isn't it? I mean, that's what it is.
Effectively, yeah. I mean, ask Mick Foley if it's easy.
Yeah, right.
Listen, I mean, you might get thrown through a breakaway table, but it's still a table. You're still you're still falling on that.
Yeah, the Dudley boys with their tables. Think about WrestleMania 17, the tables, ladders, and chairs. When they're falling from that height, and it's just like, I remember we were watching that, and my buddy was going, okay, life is over. Like, there's no way they survive. When Vince McMahon, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, when he fell from and he hit, and the table just blew up, it's just like, who does that? You can't do that to a body, like giving a pile driver or whatever. It's like, those guys they have to do things where people aren't going to, like, good example, Ken Shamrock. He was basically kicked out of WWE because he was hurting people because he couldn't define his MMA to wrestling.
Right. I'll give you a good tie into that. If you ever see Westworld, the original, not this series bullshit, but the original movie, and watch Yul Brynner's stunt guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head because I'm old and I've got a whiskey under my belt. But he does that fall off of the building and he lands in the dirt. Well, there's a mat under that, and they've got that baseball mix on top of it, so it makes that good. It looks like ground. Those guys get with the wrestling guys and go, okay, how do we do that without the baseball mix? And then they go see these wrestling gaffers and go, okay, your mat has to have so much give to it. The plywood has to be this thickness and it has to be set this way and all that. So those guys don't get hurt. Now, not getting hurt and not hurting are two entirely different things because that shit still hurts. You're not going to get any lasting physical deformities from it.
Right.
It's the difference between getting hurt and getting injured, right?
Exactly.
Talked about when I played hockey, it was like, you can play hurt, but you can't play injured.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great, all-time trademarks of the stuntman. You get up and everything hurts. I mean, go watch Hooper. The tales they tell about those guys doing the drugs just to get out of bed in the morning, that ain't a joke. That shit hurts. But getting hurt at the time is what you're trying to prevent. And these guys are masters at it. Yeah. And they get better and better at it every day.
And I remember why a lot of the guys left WWF to go to WCW because it was a less work schedule.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go in. And when your body's hurting, you need time to recuperate. You need time to recover.
Yeah.
There's a reason
why became big in
games in the NFL.
Say that again, Spider.
There's a reason why drugs became big behind the scenes with the wrestlers and everything.
Oh God, yeah, that shit hurts, man.
Yeah.
Hockey games, NFL games. This is the NFL guys. They bitch when they play a Monday night game and then a Sunday night game, and now they're making them play Monday night. And I think there's been a couple where they play Monday night and then Thursday night. That's that or hockey, back to back, and then 3 games in 4 nights. Or I know, well, every team had it this year with the Olympics. They were playing.
Right.
Like there was one stretch there where every team played 11 games in 15 days or something. Or 16 days. That'll take it out of you. This is why Raw and SmackDown, aren't the same guys back to back nights. There's a reason.
Right. Got to switch that up. Which is why one of my all-time favorite stunt movies, oddly enough, They Live. And it was simply because of that fight scene that Rowdy Piper had. where and here's why I loved it. Not only was it choreographed it was just an amazing gaff, but they sold it so well. And they did it realistically where when you throw Roddy Piper, is it Keith David? I always get him and David Keith back there.
Yeah, Keith David.
Keith David. When he throws him up against a dumpster and then his back hurts and he goes down, that's realistic type shit. They don't just pop back up like they do nowadays and hop off of it and just go right at him. I mean, there are breaks in there were like, God damn, that hurt, man. I absolutely love that scene. That's my favorite all-time choreographed fight scene.
Well, it also had the greatest line in cinema. Time to kick ass and chew gum.
Chew bubble gum. I'm all out of that one. I do this one all the time. I look around at people and they look at me and I go, I've got one that can see. And then they look at me all weird. I'm like, they don't get it. Clearly they never saw the movie. Let's go around the horn. Darth, what's your all-time favorite stunt or
I love a lot of stunts, but I gotta give it to that the Raiders of the Lost Ark the truck stunt. Man, I remember being a kid watching that in the theater and going, oh man, that's the most incredible thing I've ever seen, And then, you see the specials about it and they talk about how they did it afterwards. And it's just, I mean, that's fantastic. And of course, that comes from the stagecoach scene, right?
And it's all practical.
And all these other films have sort of tried to do a variation of that since. And they're good, but they're not as good as that. I mean,
no,
that's fantastic. And I always love, for me, a good fire gag is always awesome, because it's like, apart from the long drops, that's got to be one of the most dangerous things you can do, right? And the way they set these guys up and they put all the gel on them and everything, and they kind of do this and get everybody back and get all the fire equipment in there and say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to light them on fire for 5 seconds. All right, make sure everybody's rolling. And they do that. And
that's one of those ones that's one of those ones that they do it right is absolutely incredible. If they do it wrong, it looks stupid. But if they do it right, man, that's one of the most incredible gaffes ever is a firewalk.
You do it wrong and you end up burning something.
Yeah, no lie.
But yeah, I really enjoy a good fire gag, and you see a lot of them these days, and they're getting better and better. I gotta say.
As long as they don't try and put too much CGI on them, because then it just looks stupid. I don't know what it is about CGI that can't get firewalks right, but they can't do that for shit.
Well, it's natural stuff, right? Like water and fire. It's difficult for them to do, right? You can't miniaturize or water, or you can't make fire look exactly the way it should when it's CGI.
Right.
I don't know why. They just can't do it. It's too chaotic, I guess, for the computers to figure it out.
Yep. Graham, what do you think? What's your favorite gag?
Favorite ever? Gosh. Okay, well, was it Kevin or Ken Bates? I can't remember the lad's name. He was Hans Gruber being tossed out the window in Die Hard. What was it? Kevin or Ken Bates? I can't remember his name. His fall. Again, that was a bag, because they, when they film Rickman being thrown out the window, that's Rickman's falling all 6 feet or whatever, it's a green screen. And then they switch to the other shot where, from the ground and you see him falling. And then he goes behind the other building when he hits the bag.
Right.
I hope that's not
just that 5 or 6 seconds of airtime he's got on the way down. I think that's probably my favorite, just because he did such a good job selling it. And actually, if you watch it frame by frame, right at the end, right before he goes behind that building, you can see him start to turn to be like, okay, I gotta
look for the bag. Yeah,
exactly. And you can see it if you watch it in slow-mo. You see him actually start his turn. He doesn't finish it, but he starts his turn right when he goes behind whatever that other building that's in the foreground is. But again, he has to have an internal clock to know, okay, the camera's there. So I've got, after I get thrown out the window, I've got so many seconds before I can start my turn. And it has to be precise, because he's only going to have another second or two to find the bag. I thought that was really impressive.
I can't imagine how hard that is to count to 5 when you're absolutely terrified. That's got to be nuts, man. You can't even speak your own name, and you're supposed to be able to count to 5.
at
legitimately.
gravity's mercy, and now you need to be calm and be like, okay, so at this time I need to turn. You know, one other good thing I wanted to mention, and something that we did, I was going to key on earlier. Hollywood Stuntman, he was kind of like a 2-bit, but he died actually of AIDS later on, but became a NASCAR driver. Was Tim Richmond. I don't know if anybody knows this. There was a guy that was a NASCAR driver named Tim Richmond, and he was actually a Hollywood stuntman who was known for driving stunts and stuff, and was so good at it, actually became a professional NASCAR driver. This is in the 80s. And he actually lived that Hollywood lifestyle, got AIDS, and died. But that's a pretty neat story if you've never read it.
I'll have to go look him up. Tim Richmond.
Yeah,
I'll go look him
Tim
up.
Richmond. Yeah, he did, again, driving stunt. Nothing crazy, but he did driving and stuff. He was from the LA area.
Nice. I'll go check him out.
Yeah.
Cole, what do you think? What's your favorite gaff?
So the one probably I have to mention was so Delta Force 2 with Chuck Norris. The scenes at the beginning when they had to do the skyjacking scene where they had to capture the drug lord, and basically it was a skyjacking, so they threw him out the plane, and then they have to get him, and you see Chuck Norris, doing his wing dive and everything. But they said that scene basically was like 6 days and 24 takes, and because they had, and then you had the little parachutes on them. But I think that's one of my favorites. One of my favorite. If anyone doesn't remember that scene, go check it out. It's pretty intense.
Anything Chuck was working on was some pretty good stuff. He was good.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out one more.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible in Dubai on that building.
Yeah, it's hard to not talk about it.
We're gonna wrap up with him here in a second.
Yeah.
Spider, what's your favorite gaff, my man?
By the way, it was Stanton Barrett, not Tim Richmond. Sorry, Stanton Barrett. That was the one.
Stanton Barrett. Okay.
My wires crossed.
I'm stuck between two, but I'm just gonna go with the classic. While I'm still in that corner of James Bond, Spy Who Loved Me, Rick Sylvester skiing off the cliff. One take, one shot. They had 6 cameras rolling. The conditions weren't right, but he said, "Let's go." And there was just one camera rolling, and it caught his jump until his descent all the way down until the parachute opened, and you got the classic Union Jack parachute. So, I mean, fantastic. Somebody had to do that. People had to be there. Crews on multiple cameras on that mountain, on that cliff, waiting to do it. So that's mine.
That's a good call. Speaking of mountain climbing, I want to honorable mention Eiger Sanction. If nobody's ever seen that with Clint Eastwood, go check that one out.
That's a
There's
great
some
one.
really amazing climbing stuff in there.
Yeah, we did a review on that. Me, Sin's Corner, and Lex. We did a review on that about maybe a couple months ago.
I think it was like a month ago I saw you guys doing that one. Yeah, if you've never seen that movie, check that one out. Eiger Sanction's got some absolutely amazing climbing work in it.
It's crazy that Eiger window actually, that's a real thing that exists.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That was good stuff. There's some people that have worked really well with stuntmen, and some people have worked really poorly. We mentioned Seagal. I'm going to get my plug in here. Is just if you ever needed a reason to hate that scumbag, here's another one. Stuntmen absolutely can't stand that guy. And there's a few people that I want to wrap into that tale. Chuck Norris always worked well with stuntmen, always got along great with them, and they loved him because he was a consummate professional, because he understood you're the guys that gaff this. I'm the guy that sells it, and let them do their thing, and always worked to them, not at them. And Michael Jai White, if anybody has any doubt as to that guy's talent, I'm here to tell you, not only is he a phenomenal martial artist, he is absolutely revered among the stuntman community. If you get a chance to look at any of his stuff, check that out. He doesn't get enough credit.
Like, not
he
anywhere close to enough credit.
He doesn't.
He should be known like Chuck Norris.
Absolutely. I think it's just time. It's just a matter of time. He will be. Right now, he's still doing it. He's still out there working. But when he gets to that point where, people sit back and look back fondly on the days, that his name is going to be, man, if you ever had to work with somebody, he was the guy you had to work with, because he's just phenomenal.
Well,
Seagal.
he talks about like he talks about he talked about one time how he said, you know, working and talking and dealing with Van Damme was so much more real, because he said Van Damme was realistic and real for what he can do, where Seagal was just a phony.
He has a great clip. It's on YouTube somewhere. I'm not going to bring it up right now, but if you ever get the chance, there's a bunch of Michael Jai White stuff out there. He has a clip where he talks about there was a crew. Oh God, I wish I could remember the name of the film. DMX was in it as well. It was Seagal and DMX.
Oh,
and
when
wounds?
they shot.
No. Exit wounds? Was it?
Exit wounds. There you go.
Wounds.
Exit wounds.
Yeah.
There it is. Exit wounds.
Took me a
And
second.
some of the crew actually invited Michael Jai White. They're like, hey, we could kind of turn our back for a little bit if you want to crack at Seagal for real. And Michael was like, let me get this straight. You're asking me to really actually hurt this guy? And they were like, you know. And he did not do it because he is a consummate professional. He's like, no, I ain't going to go down that road. And I thought that was a stand-up thing for him to do, because he could absolutely fucking destroy that guy.
Well, speaking of that movie, Exit Wounds, maybe I can get into this right now. Stuntman Chris Lamont died on that film while performing a stunt. Obviously, he hit his head rolling out upside down out of a van, and
man,
he just landed wrong and died from his injuries about a week later. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, you know, died doing what they loved, as it were, right?
Yep.
And
well, same for on the Transformer Michael Bay movie. I think it was two Stuntmen died on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Matrix, that latest Matrix, there was a guy on a bike.
Well, Chuck, sorry, Delta Force 2. Chuck almost there was almost a fatal where Chuck almost got hit by a rocket.
Yeah. If you ever think that this is, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, WWE. People look, oh, they're stuntmen, they're professionals. Yeah, well, accidents happen. You can be as professional as you want. I mean, good Lord, look at, you know, Hexam bought it from a bad squib, and you know,
Brandon Lee from
God rest his soul, Brandon Lee. Yeah, took a
they loaded the primer too hot, and
good example, William Shatner on the set of Arena. He basically went deaf because remember when all those explosions were happening when they're on the planet? That came very close to him, and he said he's had nothing but problems ever since that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if anybody, the Vic Morrow, yeah, Zach brought up a good one, the Vic Morrow tragedy on Twilight Zone, when Vic Morrow and those two kids got whacked doing
I would
that
say those two
helicopter stuff.
Vietnamese kids, yeah, that's brutal.
The kids, Vic Morrow, the helicopter pilots,
Yeah, so if anybody ever thinks, oh, they're stuntmen, yeah, they get paid to take, no, they don't get paid to get killed. But
you know, if you wanted a reason to hate Seagal more, my mom actually went on a date with him when she was, I don't know, probably like a late teens, early 20s, and said he was just a complete pompous prick.
Oh, what a shock.
And she said apparently the family all went by Siegel, and he was like, that sounds lame, and he's like, I'm trying to be an actor, so it's Seagal. And she's like, sort of rolled her eyes like, whatever. She didn't date him yet, obviously. But
What a
Steven
jack
Seagal.
off, that fucking guy.
Yep.
There's so many. I never understood how he was kind of like the Jared Leto of martial artists, you know, Hollywood guys. What are you doing with this fucking guy? There's so many other talented people that could actually do these things for real. What are you doing horsing around with this skinny piece of nothing that he looks like he ate his former self? First of all, he can't touch his goddamn. I don't remember when the last time he saw his toes, and he's going to walk around and talk trash. Get out of my face.
Yeah, when I think martial artist, I think Marlon Brando. I think Steven Seagal.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember?
Rage brought up that one when Van Damme got him at Stallone's party and cornered him. They were both kind of liquored up, and Van Damme's like, "Let's do it right here, right now."
Yeah.
Seagal pussied out.
Do you remember who was it? It was Archer. He said because they're talking about martial arts, and they're like, "Oh, we learn this?" Because him and Cyril were talking. They were like, "What the?" I can't remember what karate or something. He says, "What the Dean Cook of karate or martial arts?" And I was laughing so hard. And then because then Archer said we get trained by a Mossad guy who comes in every Tuesday.
Tom Segura's got a great bit on Steven Seagal and what a jagoff he really is, and he does this bit about so we lined up all these cops, and they're like, oh, we got somebody to come in and teach you, hand-to-hand combat in case you got to defend yourself. And they're like, oh, who'd you get us? Like a Navy SEAL or some expert? And they're like, no, Steven Seagal is going to come in and teach us. And he's like, what? That's like, it's like your first day at NASA, and they go, okay, space cadets, we're going to learn about how to get you into space and how to travel in weightlessness and all that. But in order to kick us off, we're going to bring in William Shatner. Why don't you come on in, man? You're like, what? And they're like, yeah, you've seen the movies. He's been up there. He's done it all, man. It's just, oh my God. It's what a fucking joke, that guy.
He literally was a captain of a spaceship.
Right. Like, get out of my face. Oh my God. But the people who have garnered Hollywood's respect, I don't have any clips of them. You can go out there and see them. I don't want to do it because copyright. Tom is a fanatic about copyright for some strange reason. But Tom Cruise, I rail on about how, the good old days and everybody was tougher then and all that bullshit. But in order to wrap up, I think we ought to pay a little bit of homage to Mr. Cruise, his respect for the stunt business and 100%. The stunt businesses respect back at him. I am amazed that a man of his, I want to say star caliber, it sounds kind of gay, frankly, but somebody who works so much in front of the camera and is such a big star has taken so much time to get with the stuntmen and actually learn how to do these things and let them teach him how to do it, that these guys actually let him do it now, because they're very protective about their business. They don't want people getting whacked from not doing what they're doing because it gives them a bad name. But he has done such a good job of paying respect to it and actually learning the trade that I think he deserves honorable mention on our way out the door today.
Well, how about we all give our favorite cruise stunt? That would be a good. I know Colhauser technically already did, but
I'll let him go first. Cole, you go first. Set that.
Well, yeah, I'll say the tower, the tower scene in Dubai. So I wanted to actually add, now because we're thinking about it, I wanted to add taps, but I'm gonna leave that one out.
Sure.
Because he does go a little hard on that when he's shooting that M16.
Taps. There we go. There's a deep cut.
Yeah. Did you ever see Taps? He was real young. Him and Timothy Hutton and real young Sean Penn.
Like legend era.
George C. Scott before he finally
George
hung
C.
it up.
Scott.
Yeah. What a great movie.
Yeah. All about condos.
Right. These kids died. No blood for condos.
What's your favorite cruise stunt, Darth?
Oh, I love him hanging on the outside of that C-130. I mean, that's just
the
crazy.
Airbus
right?
A400, yeah.
Or 400, yeah. Sorry, yeah. That's just insane. He's literally in the. There's nowhere else to go, right? You're hooked in there, but it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You're thinking he's like, is this a really good idea?
Yeah. And no, it's not. But he's doing it.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and says, I do this because, you people are coming to these films. Do you want to see me do these things?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
and he did it.
He did it.
Spidey, what do you say?
I'll probably go with the motorcycle jump on Dead Reckoning Part 1, where he jumped off the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A good one, too. Damn. There's so many to choose from.
Graham?
Did it?
I know it's the most panned of the Mission Impossible films, but the motorcycle chase in 2, because that's him doing it, and I know hanging on the outside of an airplane or jumping with a parachute when you're going 100+ miles an hour on a motorcycle, no helmet, I mean, you fuck up and it's game over, or your acting career's over because you're not going to be pretty anymore. I think his motorcycle work in Mission Impossible 2. You could also pick Mission Impossible 5. There were some pretty cool motorcycle stunts in that one, but I think the motorcycle work in 2 was just bonkers, and the fact that he did it all is pretty impressive.
I go with that. I go with this. I go with the motorcycle jump. Any and all jump, I tell you, is the trickiest one in Hollywood to pull off. It's the timing. The camera is right on your face. There is no way to get out of it. Any jump you pull off is phenomenal because those things are very carefully calculated. And the minute you screw that up, you're a done deal. Cole's chomping at the bit.
I got a worse one. He could have poked himself. He could have poked out his eye with the whiskey bottle and cocktails.
Oh, sure. I mean, theoretically.
Bottles around like he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's tossing them up, and he could have that could have been it.
Anytime
you falling and walking into the courtroom and A Few Good Men, game over.
Oh my God, he face planted. We got to stop production for 6 weeks till his nose gets.
Might have hurt himself catching that crystal football in Risky Business.
There you go. He slides and he on with the socks and he slips, falls, hits his head.
Oh.
It's over.
That's where he got hooked right there. They let him gaff that crystal football catch, and it was all over with after that.
He could have crashed that Mustang in War of the Worlds when he did that fishtail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually so. As far as I know, that was him driving too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
The Halo drop and Fallout, that was a good one.
Ooh,
any of those drops are good. Parachute drops are tricky.
Well, he did die a lot in Edge of Tomorrow.
That's true.
You're right. All of his stunts that went bad in Edge of Tomorrow. He just gets whacked over. And he's died more than any stunt man in Hollywood history.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's been saved more and he's died more.
Did you? I'm going to point something out. Did you notice in the background when he's doing his video to the troops about what's going on? The background was from War Games. The computer setup. The screen.
Oh, really?
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, the background was from War Games because I was like, hold on, it's from War Games.
Only an autist like you would recognize something.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, eh?
Fellas, this has been an absolute blast. I want to thank you all for coming by and doing this. I think we have covered some good ground. You could do this. I mean, shit, we could do this for 5 hours straight, go over every good.
Sure,
we didn't even hit on Hooper. We didn't really touch on Hal Needham. We might save that for another show. We'll do just car jumps, or we'll do just Hooper or some such. I mean, Hooper, you could tear apart. If you haven't seen the movie Hooper, folks, if you're out there, I'm telling you right now, go check that out because that is a really good look into the mind of stuntmen. They are a different breed altogether, and God bless them for doing it because they have made the movies what they are. CGI don't hold a candle to these fellas and ladies. It just don't. And it'll come back around. People have had enough of CGI. They're like, show us the good stuff.
Yeah.
Show us somebody falling into an airbag and cut the camera real quick so we don't see it. It'll come back.
It will.
Yep.
One of these days. Like Maintain Rage earlier said, you can't fake gravity.
Nope.
Let's see it. All right. It's that time. Tell us where we can find you and what you're up to. Darth, I'll let you kick us off.
Well, I am on the channel is Chilled Monkey Brains with a Z. I've got got a lot of Star Trek stuff coming out in June, a couple of reviews. The first one of Insurrection, and then I'm doing Star Trek 3. I just had a Highlander video come out Monday. And I'll be in various chats throughout. I'll be I think I got some guesting stuff on the Outlaws channel as well coming up. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
Outstanding. Graham, where do we find you? What are you up to? What you got going on?
Well, hopefully here soon, in the next month or two, should have my rig up and running so I can stream for myself. But in the meantime, you can catch me on the Outlaws on Monday's show. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then me and the wife on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then, and I'll I'll be around.
Outstanding. Cole, what do you got going on, Mr. Traveling Man?
Wednesday, I got ads in the Critical Drinker and a couple other people on my channel for a birthday stream. So
Wednesday the 27th at what time?
12 noon Eastern.
12 noon on Wednesday.
So me and ads are going to be talking some Transformers, and then Critical Drinker is going to join, and then a couple other people of that ilk will be joining us as well. So that's going to be a lot
of that ilk. Oh, I'm flattered.
Yeah,
okay.
It's gonna be a fun stream, and then and just doing some gaming, and got the Golden Age podcast with Isaac and crew on Monday nights, and I know we're doing a Star Wars stream coming up with Spider.
Speaking of which, Spider, what do you got going on, big dog?
Tomorrow's Sunday Saloon, I think, is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We had to push it back to accommodate the Mojo Bros, who will be on. Cole, will you be on it, or are you missing tomorrow's?
I'm working at Con tomorrow, so yeah.
Is that okay? That's the one. I'm getting so confused with all the dates and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to round out the original trilogy with Return of the Jedi, and I'm not sure if we're doing a Monday show.
It starts at 4.
Yes.
You know what? I might be able to jump on, but I have to jump on from my phone.
If you are, just shoot me a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll round that out tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're doing a Monday show or not. Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't even know Memorial Day was on Monday.
It's so tough.
Everything's just flying by. We're at the end of fucking May already.
Life in the streaming mines, right?
Life in the salty streaming mines. Every weekday morning, 9 a.m. Central. Y'all can find me on the Big Three. Get me on Kick. I am Kick and YouTube, Giles McCoy, Sheriff McCoy on Rumble. For some strange reason, somebody had taken that name and I can't get it. And I will take some time to get some links in the description below after we're done, because I got some things to clean up in the VOD, because there's going to be about 80 different copyright claims on YouTube, I'm sure, but fuck them. So up until we get to see you again, it has been a pleasure being here with y'all, and thanks folks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Hope you learned a little something. Hope you got to have a good time walking down memory lane with some of the best gaffes in the business. Did Cole just shrink? No, Cole didn't just shrink. We had to size him right to get him onto the camera. It's one of those Gojira kind of things.
I was back.
We couldn't get him and the Statue of Liberty in the frame at the same time. Thank you all for coming by. God bless you. I hope you have a great rest of your holiday weekend, and we will see you Monday, if not sooner. God bless everybody.
Take care.
I'm just about done here. I never did know your name.
Yes, you do. Take care.
Yes, sir, Captain.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man.
You finished?
It's the end of the road.
You bastards! Between Glamorgan and Yorkshire, the Yorkshire bowler Nicholson took 8 wickets for 3 runs. Glamorgan were all out for 36 and therefore won the match by an innings and 7 runs. Weather for tomorrow will be cloudy with occasional outbreaks of rain. And that is the end of the news. And now...
Can we go home now?